New developments tonight in the mystery of a Denver man found shot to death in his car over the weekend. Well, tonight a reward is being offered, and police are asking for help from the public to try and catch his killer. Valerie Castro live from the area where this happened at MLK near Bel Air Street. And Val, the car was still running when his body was found.
Karen, Denver police say they were called to the report of a suspicious vehicle parked here on the side of MLK. They found Philip Lucero inside that car. They will not speculate if Lucero was specifically targeted or if this was a random act of violence.
You don't come across people like that every day.
48-year-old Philip Lucero left the kind of impression that is hard to forget.
He's just such a nice, kind, genuine, super guy, and you saw that as soon as you said hi.
CBS 4 sports photojournalist David Willey called Lucero a close friend and former business partner. Lucero owned his own Denver television production company, Phil Lucero Productions.
I did TV shows with him for 4 years. We started a production company together and shot high school sports all over Denver, and we had the time of our lives.
Lucero's life came to an end over the weekend. His body was discovered inside his still idling car along Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard around 3 Sunday morning. Denver police say he'd been shot inside the car. The motive is still a complete mystery, and friends say Lucero was a man with no enemies.
A smart businessman, a great husband, a great person, a great friend. It just really doesn't make any sense at all.
Given where the car was found, it's likely Lucero was on his way home just a few blocks away. Police are now asking for the public's help to track down Lucero's killer and anyone who might have witnessed the actual shooting. Those close to him simply want to know why.
If you made a list of senseless crimes, you would put this one at the top.
Call Denver police if you saw anything strange in this area late Saturday or early Sunday morning. There is a possible $2,000 reward from Crime Stoppers for information. Reporting live in Denver, Valerie Castro, CBS 4 News.
Valerie Castro joins us tonight. Val, he did go to the hospital, but it was too late.
Karen, James Neisler says a month went by before he was finally taken to a hospital. By then, what started out as a blister on his toe had turned into a serious infection in the bone.
And it was like a slow kind of time machine of torture.
By the time James Neisler got the medical attention he needed, the bone in his foot was infected, eventually requiring the amputation of all 5 toes.
And I put in 16 requests over 31 days.
Neisler was an inmate at the Arapahoe County Jail, serving time for a misdemeanor when steel-toed boots worn during work release caused a blister.
I realized my right toe was swollen twice as large as my left toe. I had a blister on the top and like a kind of a deeper blood blister on the bottom of my right toe.
A diabetic, Neisler knew the small wound needed to be tended to by a doctor, but he claims nurses with the healthcare company contracted by the jail ignored him and his obvious issues.
The blisters are tearing open. I'm bleeding all over. And I was getting responses like, well, just be patient.
Finally, Neisler was transported to Denver Health, where he knew it was already too late.
The emergency room staff looked at it and basically told me, we think we're going to have to amputate your large toe.
It's completely unacceptable.
His attorney says the medical company, correctional health care companies, has faced these kinds of complaints before.
You know, they have a history of ignoring very, very obvious medical conditions.
In this case, Neisler's new disability has changed his life forever.
So loss of work, loss of income, loss of toes, loss of being able to appreciate life with my children.
Neisler's attorneys say they also plan to name specific jail staff in the suit. The Arapahoe County Sheriff says he cannot comment on pending litigation. Karen.
Thank you, Val. Valerie Castro live in Denver for us tonight. And Val, what's the problem? What's taking so long?
Well, Karen, the city says it sent the owner these 2 notices and then most recently this 3rd one asking the owners to either repair the building or demolish it. As you can see, the building is still very much here in extremely bad shape. The owners say they're waiting on approval from the state to tear it down. What's left of the apartment building at 37th and Marion Street is a pile of charred rubble that only this squirrel can call home.
It's awful and embarrassing, and I get worried because sometimes I see kids climbing in there.
Neighbors like Jolene Trujillo were there when the building caught fire in July. The city says soon after it sent notice to the owner to repair or demolish the eyesore, but today it's still standing.
It's been unsafe since July when the fire occurred.
The property owner is currently waiting for the state to approve demolition without asbestos abatement. Several tests indicate there is no asbestos. A contractor is lined up and waiting to start knocking down walls at a cost of $41,000. Don Finbo represents the owner.
The very minute the state looks at those 3 asbestos reports, concludes there is no asbestos in the building, the demo begins instantly.
But the city says it won't happen quickly enough.
We would have liked to have seen the property owner move more quickly and get this taken care of back in July or August, but it just hasn't happened that way.
Instead, the city will tear down the structure at a cost to the owner of more than $124,000. The process will include a precautionary treatment for asbestos as part of the demolition.
We're not going to stand for the city to whack us $80,000 or more than this job costs to do.
It's now a race to see if the owner will get the required go-ahead from the state before the city makes its move.
The owner says they have been working with the city for the last 6 weeks, keeping them up to date on what they've been trying to do here. They filed their last piece of paperwork with the state yesterday. The city says it will demolish the property if that final approval doesn't come through. Reporting live in Denver, Valerie Castro, CBS 4 News.
Valerie Castro was at today's sentencing. And Val, no jail time for Hosh, but he's going to spend 6 years in community corrections. Tell us about it.
Alan, he will be in a locked facility, probably a halfway house. Sergeant Baldwin's family today say they were very pleased with the sentence that was handed down, and they hope this case brings more awareness to the issue of those who may have lost the ability to drive safely after a certain age.
None of what happened here today changes our lives. We are still without the person that meant everything to us, and we are still devastated beyond imagination.
The person Crystal Baldwin will be without for the rest of her life was her husband, Jefferson County Deputy David Baldwin. He was killed on duty riding his motorcycle when an elderly driver, speeding on Highway 93 in the wrong lane, crashed into Baldwin head-on. That driver was 83-year-old Kenneth Hosh.
It took me a long time to gather my thoughts and realize the terrifying truth. I had killed police officer.
Hosh faced a judge Friday after he pleaded guilty earlier this year. Hosh says he ignored the warning signs that should have prevented him from driving at his age.
I was unaware of the various factors that aging and health can play in one's ability to drive.
Baldwin's widow says she heard nothing but excuses in the courtroom.
He never really took responsibility. If it were me and I had taken a person's life, I would say, I'm very, very sorry, and I will accept whatever you give me. He never did that.
Hosh was sentenced to 6 years in community corrections, essentially a halfway house. He'll only be allowed to leave to make presentations to other seniors about the dangers of elderly driving.
I wanted Mr. Hosh to be in a place where he has to think about it every day, because we have to think about it every day.
Sergeant Baldwin's widow urged families with elderly drivers to have a serious conversation with that person about their ability behind the wheel. She also implored all drivers in general to simply slow down. Reporting live in Jefferson County, Valerie Castro, CBS 4 News.